Transportation is nothing but moving of elements or anything, any materials from one place to other is called transportation. So in plants, what are the materials transported? Let us see in this lesson. So learning objective. At the end of this lesson, students will be able to learn how the water and minerals move from soil to the plant, learn how food is prepared by leaf in plant, understand the role of osmosis and transpiration. Transportation in plants. So now we shall move to the introduction. So every organisms is made up of cell. You all know that, right? So every cells need nutrient, water, oxygen to maintain life and survival. So each and every cell need their requirements like nutrients, water and oxygen for their survival. Have you wondered how water and nutrient are absorbed by the root and are transported to leaves? How the food is prepared by the leaf and carried to other parts of the plant? To understand this, we need to recall the anatomy of the plant. Water, mineral salt absorbed by the root and reach all the parts of the plant through the xylem. Food synthesis by the leaf are translocated to all the parts through phloem. So this we can understand by recalling the structure of plant anatomy. So you all know the structure of root, stem and leaf. So we have seen the internal anatomy and this would help you to understand the concept much better. The first one is means of transportation in plants. Materials are transported through diffusion or active transport. In plants, the means of transport is by diffusion or by active transport. The first one is diffusion. So what do you mean by diffusion is movement of molecules in water and solid from region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration without utilizing of energy. This is called diffusion. So materials will move from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. During this process, energy is not utilized. So this is a passive process. The next one is active transportation. So active transportation needs some energy to transport the material. So what is that is? Active transport utilize energy to pump molecule against the concentration gradient. Active transport is carried out by membrane bound protein. So these membrane bound protein will provide energy for the transportation. These protein use energy to carry substance across the cell membrane, hence they are often referred to as pump. So this active transport energy transportation is often referred as pump. These pumps can transport substance from lower concentration to higher concentration. This is called uphill transport. It is nearly opposite to the diffusion. So diffusion is from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration without utilization of energy. Whereas in active transportation, here the molecules against the concentration gradient. Against the concentration gradient means from the lower concentration to higher concentration. While moving from lower concentration to higher concentration, it needs energy, and these energy are produced by membrane bound proteins in the cells. So this is about the means of transportation in plants. The next one is osmosis. So you would all know what is osmosis and you would have studied in your lower class. So now let us recall what is osmosis. Osmosis is also movement of solvent or water molecule from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. This process is carried out until the equilibrium occurs. Osmosis is a passive movement of water or any substances in solvent. So you can see the red color line. So that acts as a semi-permeable membrane, and before osmosis and after osmosis you can see the equilibrium level. So before osmosis the equilibrium was not equal. After osmosis it has reached the equilibrium level. So this process is called as osmosis. So by this you could have understand diffusion and osmosis are more or like similar. But what is the difference between the diffusion and osmosis? So here there is an example which would explain you clearly the difference between the diffusion and osmosis. So here the liquid has higher concentration and lower concentration. So see in diffusion, so concentrated sugar solution on your left side and diluted sugar solution on your right side, and the diffusion process how it takes place is, and between the concentrated and diluted sugar solution there is a semi-permeable membrane. So we shall see what happens in diffusion. So you can see the sugar molecules and water molecules scattered here and there. So before diffusion the sugar molecules are more in concentrated sugar solution than in diluted sugar solution. What happens after diffusion is the distribution of sugar molecule and water molecule is even. So now the solution has become equal. So the concentration has become equalized. The distribution of sugar molecules and water molecules are even throughout the solution. This process is called diffusion. So now we shall move to the osmosis. So see here osmosis. So what happen in osmosis is the movement takes place but the sugar molecules does not move from one region to the other. So only the equilibrium level has been reached without the molecules passing. So the water molecules passes through not the sugar. So here the sugar molecules do not pass, only the water molecules pass and they maintain a equilibrium level. So this is the difference between the diffusion and osmosis. So in diffusion the molecules also move and maintains the equilibrium state, whereas in osmosis the water molecules alone move, sugar molecule do not move. The next one is demonstration of osmosis. So there is an experiment which demonstrates the osmosis process, that is your test tube and funnel experiment. So in this experiment a beaker, Thistle funnel, a semi-permeable membrane, water and concentrated sugar solution has been taken. So now the Thistle funnel is covered with the semi-permeable membrane and concentrated sugar solution is poured over it, and the beaker containing a plain water is taken, and then the Thistle funnel is immersed onto the beaker and kept undisturbed for some period of time. So you can see the movement of molecules from higher concentration to the lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane. So this experiment demonstrates the process of osmosis. Next one, so other than this movement there is also other movement in plant, plasmolysis and imbibition. So what do you mean by plasmolysis is, it occurs when water moves out of the cell resulting in the shrinkage of cell membrane away from the cell wall. So here the water molecules are lost. As the result the cells will be shrinked from the cell wall. So this is called the plasmolysis. The next one is imbibition. Imbibition is also a type of diffusion. Here the diffusion is between solid and a water. Here one substance would be solid and the other substance would be a liquid. So an example for imbibition is dry grapes. So take a dry grapes and put it in a water and leave it for some time. So you can see the dry grapes swollen. So this is an experiment for imbibition. The next one is root hair water absorbing unit. So what is the root hair absorbing unit is, you can say the root has a millions of root hair surrounding in it, and these root hair will absorb the water and mineral from the soil. So the function of this root hair is they increases the surface area. So only the root cannot absorb a large amount of water. This root has spread all over and increases the surface area. As the surface area increases, the water absorbing capacity is also increased. Here the absorption of pathway of water absorbed by root. So what is the pathway? How the water enters into the plant and how the pathway is occurring. So that is called the pathway of water absorbed by root. Here water enters the root hair. The concentration of water molecules in the root hair becomes more than that of the cortex. Then it allows the water molecules to move through the cortex region. Now the cortex region will be higher concentration and xylem will be of lower concentration. So it moves from higher concentration to the lower concentration and reaches the xylem. From there the water is transported to the stem and leaf. So this pathway of water absorbed by root is purely depend upon the diffusion. So from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration, the water molecules move and it reaches the xylem. After reaching xylem, they are transported to stems and leaf. Next one is type of movement of water into the root cells. So how the water entering into the root cells, and it is classified into two types, apoplastic pathway and symplastic pathway. So apoplast pathway is through the intercellular space, whereas the symplast pathway is through the intercellular region. So you can see the difference clearly. So apoplast, that is the green color marking. So you can see that green color markings through the intercellular space. So here the water molecule does not move inside the cells. They move only along the intercellular space and reaches the xylem. Whereas in symplastic pathway, they move through the cells through the cytoplasm. They reaches the cytoplasm and they move from one cell to the other. This type of movement is called symplastic movement. Apoplastic movement is active process and it is fast, whereas the symplast is the passive process and it is relatively slower than that of the apoplastic pathway. The next one is transpiration. So transpiration is nothing but evaporation of water through stomata in leaf. So stomata are nothing but a small minute opening present on the leaf surface. The loss of water through the stomata is called as transpiration. Stomata are open in the day and closed at the night. So this opening and closing of the stomata is mainly depend upon the turgidity of guard cells. So guard cells are nothing but the cells that surround the stomata. The turgidity of the guard cells aids in opening and closing of this stomata. When the water enters the guard cell, they become turgid. As the result, the stroma will open. When the guard cell loses water, it becomes facet. As the result, the stroma closes. So this is how the opening and closing of stroma occurs during transpiration process. During turgid condition, stroma open and water is evaporated. During facet condition, stroma closed and water retains in the cell. The next one is transpirational pull. So what do you mean by transpirational pull is, once the water is evaporated through the leaf cells, there is no water now. So now the water has to reaches the leaf. So when there is no water, it created a pressure. So this pressure will pull the water from the lower surface, that is your root, to the leaf. So that creates a pull. So this pressure will create a pull, and as the result the water from the root will reaches the top of the plant. So let us see that. Water evaporated from the mesophyll cells of leaf through open stomata. This lower water concentration in mesophyll. So as they evaporated, there will be no water in the mesophyll. As the result, more water is drawn into the cells from the xylem present in the veins through the process of osmosis. As the result, now the water from the xylem will move to that region. As the water is lost from the leaf, pressure is created on the top. So now the water from the leaf has been lost. So that creates a pressure and it needs more water from the xylem. So that pressure will create a pull, that is called as transpirational pull. As the transpirational pull occurs, now the water from the xylem will reaches the top and gives the water over there. This extends up to the root and causing the root to absorb more water from the soil and to ensure continuing flow of water from root to the leaf. So this is called transpirational pull. Once the leaves has evaporated the water, it has deficient amount of water. So that will create a pressure. As the pressure increases, it will create a pull in the root to absorb more amount of water from the soil. As the result, the continuous flow of water from the root to the leaf. The next one is factors affecting transpiration. There are some factors that affect transpiration. The factors present inside the plant are called internal factors, and factors that is present outside the plant are called external factors. The factors, that is the external factor which affect transpiration, are temperature, light, humidity and wind. And the internal factors that affect transpiration are distribution and number of stomata, percentage of open stomata, water status of the plant and canopy structure of the plant. So these are the internal factors that affect the transpiration. The next one is importance of transpiration. So what are the importance of transpiration means create transpirational pull for transport of water, supply water for photosynthesis, transport mineral from soil to the and to it is transported to all the parts of the plant, cools the surface of the leaf by evaporation, keep the cell turgid, hence it maintain the shape. So these are all the importance of transpiration. The next one is root pressure. So what is a root pressure means? So you this simple experiment, you all know syringe, right? When you close the opening of the syringe and you give a pressure, so after releasing the pressure, that syringe knob will increase to a certain height. So that is similar to that of root pressure. As the ions from the soil are actively transported to vascular tissue of the root, water moves along and increases the pressure. So as they move on, it will increases the pressure inside the xylem. This is called as root pressure. So this root pressure will increase, so this transport of materials or ion will create a pressure inside, though that is called as root pressure. And this root pressure is responsible for pushing water to some height of the stem. So without any energy requirement, they will push the water to some height. So due to this root pressure. Next one is uptake of minerals. So you all know that plants need water, minerals and food for survival. So the next is uptake of minerals. How the minerals are uptaken by the plants for their survival means they are taken from the soil through the root. And one more factor is that every materials cannot absorbed by the diffusion process. So there are some other factors that need to absorb the mineral ions from the soil. Now we shall see the two factors that account for the uptake of minerals. Minerals are present in the soil are charged particles. So you all know that minerals are charged particles and they cannot move easily through the cells. So they cannot easily move by the diffusion process. This is the first factor. The second one is the concentration of minerals in the soil is usually lower than the concentration of minerals in root. Therefore, most of the minerals enter the root by active absorption through cytoplasm of epidermal cells. So here the concentration also plays a major role. So the concentration of soil is usually lower than that of the root. So the absorption is taking place only through active absorption through the cytoplasm of the cell. So as I said before, if it is an active transport, it needs some energy for the mineral uptake. So this process also needs energy in the form of ATP. Then it is transported to all the parts by transpirational pull. So this is how the minerals are uptaken by the plants. So minerals are charged particle, they cannot diffuses easily inside the cell. So some amount of energy is required for the transport of minerals. So that process of transporting is called as active transport. Here the energy is in the form of ATP. After absorbed by the root, they are transported to the rest of the plant parts through transpirational pull. So this is called uptake of minerals. The next one is phloem transport. So you all know phloem will carry food materials from source, that is from leaf to the other parts of the plant. So now we shall see about phloem transportation. So in phloem it is made up of sheath tubes and sheath plates, and cytoplasmic strand passes through the pores of the sheath plates. Phloem transport food. Food is in the form of sucrose from the source to the sink. Here they have represented source and sink. So source is nothing but the region where the food is produced. So that is called as source. In plants the food is produced in leaf. So the leaf is called the source. Next is sink. Sink is the place where the food is required. So rest of the parts are called as sink. So the source is the leaf and the other parts are called as sink. So here the transportation of food is from source to sink. But in some cases this may be reversed. That is, the transportation of food may take place from sink to source. How it is? So let us see. So during unfavorable condition, that is, or during climatic changes or due to the requirement of water, this source will be changed to sink and sink will be changed to source. So the leaf will produce the food, right? So it was transported to all the parts of the plants, and the excess food amount is stored in the form of starch. So when the plant required, that stored material will be transported to the leaf for their requirement. So this is called as reversement of the process. The direction of phloem transport is always bidirectional, from source to sink or from sink to source. But the transportation of xylem is always unidirectional. So that is, always the transportation is from root to the top of the plant. So this is about the phloem transportation. The next one is translocation of mineral ions. So translocation is nothing but remobilization from the older dying leaf to the younger leaf. So this phenomenon is seen in deciduous plant. Elements like phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen, potassium are easily mobilized, where elements like calcium are not remobilized. Small amount of material exchange takes place between the xylem and phloem during this process. So what do you mean by translocation of minerals is, as the leaf grow older, they are about to die. So during that time the minerals present in the older leaf is again translocated or remobilized to the younger growing leaf. So this process is called as translocation of mineral ions. So during translocation of minerals, elements like phosphorus, sulfur, nitrogen, potassium are easily translocated, whereas calcium cannot be translocated easier. The next one is translocation of sugar. So translocation of sugar is nothing but the stored sugar is again reused or remobilized by the plant. So as I said, in phloem transportation, the leaf will produce the food and it is stored in the sink region. So when the plant is in need of food, this sink, that is the stored food material in the sink, is remobilized and it reaches the leaf. So this is called as translocation of sugar. The next one is ascent of sap and its event and overview. So ascent of sap is an experiment. So it will make a clear view about the transportation in plants. The upward movement of water and minerals from the root to the different parts of the plants are called as ascent of sap. and there are number of factors involving in this ascent of sap, and they are root pressure, capillary action, addition and cohesion of water molecule, and then transpirational pull. So these are the different steps. So first one is root pressure. Water from soil enter the root hair due to osmosis. So now the water from the water from the soil enters the root hair due to osmosis. As they enter into the root hair, it will create a pressure in the root. So that is called root pressure. As the result, the water is moved to a certain height at the base of the stem. So this is called root pressure. After that, capillary action. So you all know what do you mean by capillary action. So for example of capillary action is, take a chalk piece and dip it in a water. So you can see the water molecules moving onto the surface of the chalk. So that is called as capillary action. Water or any liquid arise in the capillary tube because of physical force. This phenomenon is called as capillary action. In the same way, in the stem, water rises up to a certain height because of capillary action. The next is addition and cohesion of water molecule. So the force of attraction between two water molecules is called addition, and the force of attraction between the cell and the water molecule is called cohesion. So let us see what do you mean by addition and cohesion. The first one is cohesion. The force of attraction between the molecules of water is called cohesion. So this force attract between two water molecules. So H2O, H2O. The force of attraction between two water molecules is called as cohesion. The force of attraction between the molecules of different substance, it called addition. Here the water molecule is one and the second one is xylem. So the force of attraction between the water molecule and the xylem is called as addition. The next one is transpirational pull. As the water evaporated from the leaf, it creates a vacuum. So that will produce suction. The suction is called as transpirational pull. This transpirational pull sucks the water from the xylem tube, and thus water is able to rise up to greater height even in tallest plant. So this transpirational pull only help the transport of water in several height also. So these are the events in ascent of sap. The first one is root pressure, capillary action, addition cohesion of water molecule, and then transpirational pull. So in this diagram you can see the first one is root pressure. So the water entering into the root, and that creates a pressure. As the result, water move to a certain height. The next one is capillary action. So this capillary action also moves the water molecule to a certain height at the base of the stem. The next one is addition and cohesion. So cohesion is the force of attraction between two water molecule, and addition is the force of attraction between water molecule and xylem. Then the last one is transpirational pull. As the water is evaporated from the leaf, it creates a vacuum, and that creates a suction. That suction result in transpirational pull. So this transpirational pull aids in the movement of water to a greater height. So this is called ascent of sap. So till now we have studied transportation in plants, how the water, minerals and food material are transported to the various parts of the plant. So this is about transportation in plants. So in next class we shall see about circulation in animals. So thank you children.